Good morning, how you guys doing today? So I hear you guys play a little bingo around here, is this true? Nice. Who was the victor last night?
My kids.
Nice, his kids. May the odds be ever in your favor. Stand up this morning. We're just going to worship with you guys tonight. Is that okay with you guys? Cool. It's 8:30, so don't judge me. I don't get up that early, but for y'all I will. All right. Let's get our hands clapped this morning. Here we go. With this song. Y'all know this. Let's get your hands clapping. Let's proclaim this morning and make it our prayer. Sing it will be my joy. It will be my joy to sing your will, your way. It will be my joy to sing your will, your way. It will be my joy. Your will, your way, always. And it will be my joy to say, your will, your way. It will be my joy to say, your will, your way. It will be my joy to say. Your will, your way, always. fills the night. It cannot hide the light. Whom shall I fear? You crush the enemy underneath my feet. You are my sword and shield, though troubles linger still. Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. My strength is in your name, for you alone can save. You will deliver. Sing this. Yours is the victory. Who shall I fear? Did you believe that this morning? Who shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. No, nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. No, nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. Oh, so faithful. Right now, just begin to welcome His presence and His Spirit in this place. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. No, nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hand. faithful God. Amen. Give him a shout of praise if you believe that song. I'm going to read a quick passage with you guys. Pretty sure we have it on the screen. If you would read it with me. We're reading out of Philippians 1:12 through 14. You all know this passage. It's Paul preparing the hearts. In verse 12 he says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all to proclaim the gospel without fear." Now, when I read that verse, and I'm trying to think where I'm at in my own life, I imagine it's like a lot of you. Does anybody have any chains today? I don't know about you guys, but I happen to have a few of my own. And a lot of times people stereotype us to say, "Oh no, you're in ministry, you want to be a youth pastor, you want to be a missionary, you don't have any problems, you don't have any chains." We all know that's true, amen? But I just want to challenge you just to stay faithful to the Lord this morning. I don't know what it is you're going through. Stay faithful. Sometimes it's so hard for us to lift our hands and worship because we're just weighed down by the sin of the world. It's just, we have these chains on us every morning when we wake up and we put them on. Chains of sin, chains of guilt and fear and depression and anxiety. This stuff's real. And sometimes we just need to take those chains off for the Lord and say, "God, I give them over to you today." I mean, I know how it is. Being in a place like, an awesome place like this, you would think that, man, I'm untouchable here. But a lot of times that's when Satan attacks us. He begins to put whispers in our ears and our minds that we're not good enough, we're not holy or righteous enough. So if that's you today, I just want to take a second, just ask God, if you would, God, just grant us your spirit this morning. God, I know that somebody here is struggling with something, God, today that is holding them back. God, if there's any chains, God, I ask that we would lay them, God, at your feet today. And God, we just ask for your presence and your spirit. Just begin to ask him, welcome him in. soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. I'll stand, so I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. So I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. Everybody with all I am, with all I am is yours. Take everything, Lord. All I am is yours. God, all I am is yours. And all to Jesus I surrender. All to Him I freely give. And I will ever love and trust Him. In His presence I will live. All to Jesus, all to Jesus I surrender. All to Him I freely live. I will ever love and trust Him. In His presence So Father, we just proclaim that this morning. God, may we crucify our flesh, God, and our pride and our fears, God, to the cross. God, knowing that the battle is already won. God, knowing that that day on Calvary, God, you bore the sin of the world. God, you were an atoning sacrifice for us. God, and even better news than that, God, you rose again on the third day. We just want to say that we believe that this morning. We believe it so much that it affects the way we live our lives. So Father, right now as we open up your word, God, we just ask that we would hear your voice. God, if there's anything preventing us from hearing your voice today, God, we lay it before your throne. God, may we not just be hearers but doers, as James says. Father, and walk out of here changed today. God, we ask these things in your holy and your precious name, Jesus. Amen. You guys can be seated.
Thank you so much for the worship as well. Just real quick reminder, this is Glory Emphasis Month, and this week we're on guarding your time, spending out the schedule. And so we have the social media fast going on, and I hope all of you are taking part in it. Because it's not like something where like, it's, not a negative thing. This is just like we're just worshiping God in music. It's a chance to worship God with our time and extra time that we have. Build focus and reflect back on Him. And, I've already noticed like I felt like I start flipping through like Facebook, or not thinking on it, but like I was going to, and then I was, wait a minute, no, this is not. And take that time to reflect back and realize that how much God has done for you this week and this past year, and listen to Him. Not necessarily having to say anything to Him, but just listen, because the world now is starting to get pushed out a little bit. We have time to reflect and just listen, be still. This morning we have Brother Joe with us from Tennessee Temple, and he's got something on his heart, and he's already told me about it, and I think it's good. So we would just welcome him up front, and also welcome and thank Tennessee Temple team around.
The one over here was Josh. He is a business major. He wants to be in business because that's probably going to be the biggest mission field moving forward. He's really an evangelist. We call him John the Baptist. son Joseph, who's in the middle. Biblical studies, worship leader, whatever I ask him to do. And we have Victor, who's track, but he runs faster than for Jesus and anybody else. And they're good guys, and I love them with all their heart. Turn to Philippians chapter 2. I know that's your book. I was here when y'all were quoting that. I know that's your chapter, but also I want to challenge you. I was reading through the scriptures, and God had me on a particular passage that I had been on for quite many years, and have preached on the passage for quite some time. And the Lord said, Joe, I just want you to remember something. And as He was speaking to me, I speak to you. Though you know that passage, and though you taught on that passage, you can go deeper. And He gave me a picture of a tree that is planted in the ground, surface level. And the tree is small, but in order for that tree to grow, the roots must grow deeper within that soil. And there are principles of the scriptures that we know and that we've taught and we've memorized. We've memorized, but this is too close. That's how you're going. Grow deeper in this. Allow your roots to sink into the scriptures. Because storms of life are coming. Especially most of y'all are in leadership or in ministry. Storms are coming. And the storms are going to rage so hard that you must be strong. Like a tree growing up to withstand what's coming your way. And it's a... I thought that was So, Philippians chapter 2. I want to give you my heart. I teach ministry. And I'll be honest with you. I was telling you guys, I spend more time talking the heartbeat of ministry than the tools of ministry. You can find that and read about that in the book. But what's missing today, especially in this country, is the heart of ministry. And we're going to take a look at a passage that I know that y'all can quote. And I'm really going to take a look at 2 verses. But let me tell you this. This is the essence of ministry. This is what encouragement is all about. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about the subject on encouraging others, and I could not get away with the understanding that to encourage means to inspire, means to invest. It's all together. It means to love, especially those in ministry. It's hard to encourage and not invest. And so I'm going to be talking about those 3 as they are one, especially in ministry. I'm going to start in verse 1, and then I'm going to hang my hat in verse 3 and 4. If you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from His love, if any fellowship with His Spirit, if any tenderness with compassion, then make my joy complete. Now listen to this. By being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit, united, one accord, in purpose. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read this slow because I really want you to get this. Because I really believe with all my heart, this is the essence of ministry with inspiration, investing, in encouragement. And I'm here to tell you this. I don't see it much out there in ministry. And I know because I've been out there. And I know the responsibility that I have right now. I have a privilege and a responsibility. As a matter of fact, I couldn't get any sleep last night because of you. Because I know I have one shot. I may never meet y'all again. I've got one shot to give you my heart, to give you my pain, to give you my burden, all the experiences, all the things that I've learned in 20 plus years of ministry, to give it to you. And if there's one thing that I can give you, is these two verses right here. Arrogance has stained the ministry, by the way. Be careful it don't get you. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or in vain conceit, but in humility or lowliness of mind consider others better than yourself. Each of you should not only look out for your own interests, but also the interests of others. Let me tell you this. That is a mouthful. It's a mouthful. I really, really pray that even after this time, that you can spend some real time meditating and praying over this. As a matter of fact, I'm learning something right now that in my prayer, I've just learned this. A lot of times in our prayer life, we will come to God and give Him our requests, as it talks about in Philippians 4. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things pray. Present your requests to God. And the peace of God will transcend your understanding. When we're praying, make sure you have time to listen to God's response. A lot of times we'll present our requests, we give them to Him. It's funny how prayer has become just these notes. God, I need this. God, I want this. God, help me this. It's all for your ministry. But God, and then we end the prayer and we move on. You know what I'm learning? Just in the past few weeks. Have my time, present my request, and then shut up and listen for what God has to say. Right here, God stopped me in my tracks and said, Joe, yes, you have been through this. You've taught this. Shut up and listen. And I spent time looking out the window, and man, those are some of the best times when you can just look out the window and just meditate on God and listen. And I'm telling you what, I now understand when it says the peace of God will transcend your understanding, because when you shut up and listen to God in your time of prayer, man, He makes everything right. He brings that peace and that excitement and that joy and that encouragement to us all. Now let me tell you this. When we're talking about encouragement, most of the time, we miss opportunities to inspire, to invest, and to encourage because we're so busy doing ministry. We're so busy trying to fulfill our responsibilities. We miss opportunities every single day. Why? Because we're not observant. You can't be an encourager if you're not observant, because you don't pick and choose who you want to encourage. You see the need and you meet it. A lot of times we don't see the need, so we don't meet it. We just go about our way until somebody's just right there. But I'm here to tell you that when you become observant and see, you will see a world of hurt, a world of pain. People, so much pain is dripping off of them. God's calling you. That's ministry. Preaching, that's 10% of ministry. That's easy. It's stopping and notice people around you that are in need, that are hurting. You give them a kind word of encouragement, or to really, really hear. And we'll jump into that a little bit later. But I'm going to read this one more time. And really, I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous because as I was thinking and praying through this and jotting some things down, and the Lord was just giving me because I knew I had one shot with you. And I was like, God, thanks for all the stuff, but this is like 2 hours worth. So I was nervous because how can I get all this stuff that I want to give to you in 30 minutes? I said, God, I can't do it in 30 minutes unless you do it. So I'm like, so right now, I want you to look at me as just big brother. I want you to look at me as big brother, that I want to pour my heart and my soul and what's important, what I've seen is important in leadership and ministry to you. Let me read it one more time and then I'm going to jump in. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain or conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself. Each of you should look not only on your own interests, but on the interests of others. You want to start this process? Get self out of the way. Remove yourself. One thing that I teach all the time, especially in the ministry classes, you have to learn to be selfless, not selfish. In ministry, it's all about giving your life away on behalf of kingdom work, giving your life away to people. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to start off with this, giving your time. I learned this 15, 20 years ago when I went to go hear one of my heroes, Charles Stanley and Adrian Rogers, two of my guys. I love to hear them. I love to see their passion and their real concern for people. And I went to go hear him in this huge, huge auditorium. Probably fit about 15,000 people. Finally got to hear him, and I was going to wait because he was seeing people afterwards. So I'm walking over and I'm looking and I see him, and then I also see this huge line of people. I'm talking like 250 people, and I'm thinking to myself, man. So, but I just wanted to see him. I wanted to kind of get close to him. I go up off to the side, and I'm sitting in the bleacher, and he's probably from here to my wife over there. And I'm just watching him. And I'm watching him meet person after person after person. And I'm watching him, and as every individual comes, there's nobody else in the room but himself and that individual. And after a while, you got some of his guys are tugging on, and they're like, hey, come on, Charles. You know, they're doing what they're supposed to do. He just preached, literally, he preached about an hour and a half. And now he's got this huge line. He's older, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're trying to slowly pull him off to the side, and you know, and he wouldn't have anything to do with it. And he was shrugging them off, and he's like, no, no. And while he was doing it, I noticed this, that he would not lose eye contact. And he would shrug them off in person after person after person. Nobody else was in the room except for Charles and that individual that he was listening to, that he was encouraging, that he was inspiring, that he was investing, because he knew he had one shot. And he was saying to me as a young minister, it's not about my time. It's about your time. Yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm older. But I am not. And let me tell you something. He did not leave until everybody that wanted to talk to him was able to do so. And I'm sitting there this whole time for about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm sitting there and I am mesmerized and I'm glued. And he encouraged me and I didn't even talk to him. I didn't need to. I saw he was tired. He was fatigued. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to. I learned what I needed to learn from this giant of a man, this champion for the Lord. I learned the importance of hearing people, giving them your time, encouraging, investing, and praying. And he would not leave. That's ministry. That's ministry. And I never forgot that. And I've been able to teach what I learned from him without one word spoken to me from him. And been able to share that with a lot of people. If you want to be an encourager, do not be afraid to give people your time. It is valuable. Yes, it is valuable, but it is valuable to them. We are here to give our lives away. We are here to hold people above ourselves. Walk with humility. And humility is saying, hey, look, I'll be here all day, if that's what you need. Here's another one. This is going to maybe shock you a little bit, but I want to be transparent. And I want to share with you what has affected me, and in turn I've been able to do and have seen this work. You ready for this one? Give your money away. I know. My father-in-law, who's an old West Virginia boy who came down from the mountains, 8th grade education, got radically saved. One day he was giving away buds. The next day he was giving away Bibles. You know what I'm talking about? Those guys that just, boom. I mean, a walking modern day Paul. And I had the privilege and honor to call him boss, father-in-law, more of a dad than anything else, and pastor. Wasn't this great theologian, but what he knew, he did. He invested in people. And I'll never forget, when we first got married, I've been married 23 years. Make sure I get that one right. I've been married 23 years. I got married, we were high school sweethearts, so I was 15 when I met her. And we got married when I was 18, she was 19. And when you get married that young, you've got nothing. I didn't have anything. My father-in-law would take care of us. And I worked for him. He was a pastor. He also owned his own excavating company. And probably for the first 6 years, I never bought a meal for myself when I was with him. Ever. And then when my wife and I was with him, he would buy. Let's go out to dinner. Ah, I got it, Joe. Ah, I got it, Joe. That meant something to me. The funny thing is, to this day, he still buys my dinner. Now, in turn, I learned, and I know a lot of college students. And anytime I go and visit some of my college students that are now in ministry or whatever, go to different colleges, I never let them pay. And they'll say, oh, no. I said, no, I get it. I said, I know you're broke. I said, but this is, I'll pay you back. I'm like, no. I said, this is how you pay me back. When you get on your feet, and you get a good job, and things are going, do the same for the younger folks. That's how you pay me back. Because that's how I'm paying my father-in-law back. When I got to Temple, I ran into a young security guy who worked security for us. And I got to know him, and we got to be friends over my first summer I was there. And all of a sudden, he came into my office, and he was just panicking. And I was like, what's up? He's like, nah, that's okay. Nah. I said, no, what's up? And he's like, nah. And by the way, after the first nah, I'm okay, I could have left it. But I said, no. And I said, come on in here, shut the door. And I said, what's the matter? He was like, I lost $200 and I was supposed to pay rent today. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And he was embarrassed. He was concerned. And he's like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And then he kind of got up, and in that embarrassment, he kind of walked away. And I'm telling you, the Spirit of God just hit me. And he's like, Joe, go get that money and give it to that young boy. I've only known him for about a month and a half. So I go over and I tell my wife, I said, Pam, she's like, oh, yeah. I call him back over and I said, hey, man, here. I'm not letting you borrow money. I don't do it. It causes too much for you. I just give it to you. You ever need money? Here, take it. And I said, here, man, here's for your rent. This boy, probably 20 at the time, by himself, out of school, first semester, he flunked out, and he couldn't leave. I gave him that money, and he just, I wouldn't, no. And the light, once I told him, man, take the money, or I'm going to be mad at you. He took the money. And that continued and elevated our friendship. And you know what he told me? I'll never forget it. as he took the money and he's walking away, he's like, you know, I couldn't call my family, and I didn't have anybody. And he's like, my family, they'll hug me, but they won't help me. He said, thanks for helping me. He walked out the door. And that started a beautiful relationship. Fast forward 3.5 years later, he will be graduating this summer, ready to go make his mark on the world. Why? $200. Started a beautiful friendship that I was able to encourage, inspire, and invest in his life. That's ministry. Let me tell you one more story. We're transparent, right? I really want you to get this one down. We'll give a lot of things, but we really won't give our money. I have some girls that work for me. Don't you tell them I told this story. I have some girls that work for me. And RDs and Dean of Women, and works in our campus ministry office. And they work all day. Then they work in the dorms all night. And we had a tough semester this last semester. And I just wanted to get them something nice. They work for pennies on the dollar. It hurts me to know what they get paid. And I said, you know, I told my wife, I said, I want to get them something nice. I want to get them something nice. And I went and told all the guys, I said, hey guys, you're going to get small gifts. I said, I want to give our girls something nice. I can feel it. That it was just a tough year. I could just feel it. And when you're a leader and you feel it, you know it, I have to do something about it. I just wanted to get them something really, really nice. And I did. And I told my wife, and she said, no, go ahead. And I did. I got them something real nice. I got them Coach bags. Now, he's like, oh, no. You got to know the background of these girls. You got to know all that they give. You have to know all that they don't have. And I wanted to get them something nice to show my appreciation. And got them gifts, and you know, we have that little outlet over here. You can get them real cheap. And I was able to get them and brought them in my office, and like, oh, you know what? We're in trouble. I'm like, now sit down. I want to give you your Christmas gift. And my wife and I, we made these gag gifts, and I said, hey, here's your gift, and here's your gift. And it was a nice little ornament. They were like, these girls, they're just like, oh, I love it. This is so great. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I got them from the dollar store. And I went and I gave them their gifts. Man, I'm a little emotional today. That's okay, because I said I'm going to be real and honest. Because this means something to me to give this to you. And I laid it down and just kind of sat back and I said, hey, look, I wanted to get y'all something nice. I know all that you do and all that you sacrifice. And I'll never be able to show you my appreciation and give you what you deserve. And I want you to enjoy this gift. And I sat back and actually got some of my guys, and one guy said, hey, why don't you go ahead and video this? But I really wanted him to see. Teaching. Always teaching. Always investing. Always encouraging. And they opened it up, and I got the lights on my phone. I got it in the video, and I watch it from time to time. And as they opened it up, and they saw, a box that said Coach, of course, they're like, oh, okay, Coach box. Sure, it's not that. And they opened it up. And man, it was just, imagine the reaction. A girl from Alabama, a girl from Mississippi. Their testimonies, very difficult. And I got a Coach back. I didn't stay long because I had to leave. And we gave them, said a little thing, and then I had to get out of there. And the jubilee and the excitement and the joy. And my DM man texted me about 20 minutes later. He said, the joy that they had after you left, he's like, it was indescribable. And he said,
You have no idea. And I said, look, I hope they enjoy it as much as I enjoy giving it. And they will never forget that moment that their boss went a little extra. And guess what? We didn't have as good of a Christmas because they got the most expensive gifts that any of us got. And it goes back to this verse. Give more to others than yourself. And let me tell you what. Those gifts to them was worth every penny. Worth every penny. And they will remember that for the rest of their lives. So not only was I able to give them something. See, these girls, they don't look after their own needs. They look after the needs of their girls. And because they don't look after their own needs, I look after their needs for one. That's what this verse is talking about. Looking after other people's needs above yourself. And the cool thing is there was so much joy. I was so amped. My heart was pumping so much when I was able to give them this. And then at the same time, able to have other guys and the girls to know this and the importance and the value that this brings. And they'll be able to take that lesson for a long time. And also, it just brings, in our student development, if they have a need, I have a need. If they have a joy, we have a joy. If they hurt, we all hurt. And that has caused us to really just integrate that into our school. That's what this verse is talking about. Give your time. Give your money. Find the quarries of your world. And don't walk past those needs that are always around you. As a matter of fact, give it time. I teach our ministry students all the time. Find those meaningful moments in life and use it. I have students talk to me all the time. My door is always open and they know it. And I'm always looking for meaningful moments. Not moments of just passing by. We have that. But I'm always looking for those times where I can just pour. Or I can soak up their pain. I've heard sometimes about soaking up the pain of those around you. Some things that I've jotted down that I want to hit real quick. And then I'll be done. When you want to be an encourager and an investor and an inspirer, you give up the right to be personally offended. You know what I'm saying here? I'll go down the street to go get gas here in a little while, and probably somebody's going to get mad at me just riding down the street and yell and scream at me. It happens all the time in Chattanooga. Everybody's offended by everything. I'm here to tell you, if you want to go to that next level in ministry, if you want to go and be an encourager, you want to be an inspirer, you want to be an investor, you have to give up the right to be offended. You know why? You know who dictates if you're offended or not? You do. You decide to either take it on and show yourself an attack, or you can say, look, I'm going to take it on, I'm going to swallow it, and I'm going to move on. In my life, I've given that right up. And I talk to a ton of people. And I hear all kinds of things. Part of my position is the principal. I just don't do it. I'm here to tell you that I will not allow myself to be offended anymore. Why? Because I care more about people than I care about myself. Even if it's true, it doesn't hurt me. And I look past it. You know the funny thing is? It keeps harmony within me. It keeps joy. It keeps peace. And it allows me to look at people for who they are. Hurt, things always cause people to act a certain way. But I'm here to tell you this. If you want to be known as one of those individuals that inspires people, that encourages people, because by the way, those people that encourage or inspire and invest, they are attractive to people. And people will be drawn to you because they can come tell you anything. You're not, we all know it, those guys and those girls that are always offended. Oh, I can't believe they said that. Usually people like that, people stay away from. As a matter of fact, people like that don't even realize that about themselves. Look deep in your life and ask yourself, am I one of those individuals that are offended about anything because they took my chair, or they took the last roll, or they didn't say exactly what happened? Because I'm here to tell you, if you are, Satan will push that button over and over and over and over again. And a lot of times right at the right moment. You say, hey, I want to be an investor. You can't invest in anybody because nobody really cares what you have to say anyways. You don't live what you preach. Don't be offended. Here's another one. Endure decisions. You're like, what did you already say? I wrote this one down. Listen to this. This is funny. Oftentimes, with those we invest in, we see them making great decisions. Yet a few days later, it is followed up by multiple bad decisions. Many times, listen to this, many times, in order to take one step forward in a person's life, you have to be willing to endure seeing them take 2 steps backwards. Listen to this. Be careful not to focus on your own disappointment in their lives, but rather keep your focus on being available during the good times and the bad, because that's when they need you the most. You have to be, when you're investing in somebody, you have to be willing to see them take 1 step forward. All right, good job. And then later on, they're going to take 2 steps backward. You've got to be okay with that. And if you're not careful, you'll get selfish and you'll say, well, I can't believe you did that. And you're more disappointed because of who you are, how you're investing, and you're giving them time. And you're like, oh, man. And it's more about you than it is them. Let me tell you what, when people mess up, they know it. Go and put your arm around them, hug them, then you scold them. No, this is joking. Hug them. Because you can tell people anything if it's in the right approach. I've told some students, you better believe it, some things that they didn't like hearing. But because I have earned their trust and their love and their respect, and they know that I am kind and gentle and loving, and I will go the extra mile. I've sat some students down and I've told them the hard facts and truth about life and some of the things that they've done. And they've taken it. Why? Because I've earned the right to do it. They know where it's coming from. You have to earn the right to speak into somebody's life. You know that? And again, in ministry, you better be careful about being arrogant. It is littered out there. Be careful with arrogance. Because those that are arrogant, what did I say? I think I said something good about that. Oh, yeah. Arrogant people. This is like 12 o'clock when I couldn't go to sleep. And all this stuff. Arrogant people are not good encouragers. Why? Because they're not believable. Not believable. Arrogant people are usually about themselves more than anybody else. And those are usually not very good encouragers. 2 more. One more. I'll just do one more. This is the last one. It's a big one. Be a great listener. Be a great listener. Listen to this. This comes from 20 years of experience, what I'm about to tell you. This is huge. You cannot speak the wisdom needed until you understand the heart of the issue. Listening paves a path to the heart. True listening is an aggressive act of finding and addressing the needs and the issues. Listen more, talk less. Listening is an intentional act of focused attention on what is being communicated by an individual, whether by spoken, a person's tone, or demeanor. Let me explain. when you're investing in somebody, when you're encouraging, they come up and they're asking because of who you are. By the way, to be an investor encourager, it's a way of life. When you walk in the room, you encourage people just because of who you are, and they know it. When you sit down and you listen, here's what I'm talking about being aggressive. I will sit down with a student, and they'll be explaining their hard day or their hard situation, and I'm ciphering it out. I'm like, no, that's not it. No, that's not, because a lot of times they don't even know the real issue. And as a mentor, as a leader, as a minister, sometimes it's your responsibility to figure it out when they can't. And I'm busy. But guess what? When somebody sits in front of me, everything shuts down. I don't pick up my phone. I don't go to meetings, because that's what real life is all about. That's what ministry is all about. Yeah, I got to say a lot of apologies, but they know me now. And I'm listening, and I'm saying, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's not the real issue. And I'm kind of listening. I'm watching their tone. I'm watching their eyes. I'm watching their voice. And I'm like, no, that's not it. Boom, that's it right there. That's the issue. And I bring it out, and we talk about it. We get into the scriptures, and I'm able to really help them out. You see, I'm the type of guy, I just don't want to tell me what your problem is. Okay, here's what you do. Boom, get out. That's not me. That's not me. I really want to help. I really care about people. I understand Philippians chapter 2. That has become me. And it's good. And I'd be able to invest in people. That's all I want to do anymore. If you have a conversation with me, within 5 minutes, I'm going to be trying to do something. I'm listening to what I'm hearing, and I'm dissecting, and I'm trying to, what can I do to help this individual so they can go out and know the Lord better, or to be better, or to be encouraged, or to be inspired. That's all I want to do anymore. And it's fun. And let me tell you that, it is needed in the church. You want to talk about unity in the church? We need, correct me if I'm wrong, we need encouragers in the church. There's enough naysayers. There's enough discouragers. We need people that will encourage and that will listen and that will stay all day, where their time is not theirs, it is yours. And they will soak up the pain. And they will pray with you, if need be, all day. And if you call me at 12 o'clock at night, I'll be there. We need people like that in the church today. We need leadership like that. And that's you. And that's why I was up late last night trying to figure out, I get one shot. If I got one shot, it would be this. I'm going to read this one last time, and then I'm done. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself. Each of you should look not only at your own interest, but without the interest of others. You want a picture of that? He continues. The picture is this: Jesus. I will die on the cross for you. I will die on the cross for you. It's not about me, it's about you. I will take your pain. Jesus. Christians, be Christ-like. Wear the name well. If you're going to wear the name, wear it well. Wear it with honor, dignity, character, humility, and give your life away on behalf of humanity. Let me pray for you. Lord, we thank you for this time where we can just talk. We can just chat with each other. All the lessons that I've learned and all the scars and all the things that I thought what ministry is. And thank you for allowing me the privilege and the responsibility to share that with the young ministers and leaders. Lord, I pray that these verses that Paul was writing, that were Paul's, can now become theirs. And help us to deepen our understanding of these great principles of love, encouragement, and giving our lives away to others. Help us to never miss opportunities to meet the needs and to help others. Thank you for all that you do. For dying on the cross a long time ago. In Christ's name, amen.